Something good is happening in your life. A relationship that's going well. An opportunity that's opening up. A period of calm after a long stretch of difficulty. And instead of settling into it, something in you starts pulling at the edges. You pick a fight that didn't need to happen. You create distance in a relationship that was actually going well. You find reasons why the opportunity probably won't work out before you've even tried. You introduce chaos into situations that were perfectly stable. And afterward you look at what you did and you genuinely don't understand it. Because you wanted the good thing. You needed it. So why does some part of you seem absolutely determined to dismantle it before it has a chance to fully exist? This isn't random self-destruction. This isn't weakness or dysfunction or something fundamentally broken in your character. There is a precise psychological mechanism behind this behavior, and once you understand it clearly, you will see it operating not just in yourself, but in almost everyone around you. And you will never be able to unsee it. The first reason is that your brain has a pain prediction system that operates completely independently of what you consciously want. When something good enters your life, your brain doesn't just register the good. It immediately begins calculating the cost of losing it, because that's what it was built to do. Every positive attachment your brain forms comes with an automatic background process that begins modeling what it would feel like if that thing disappeared. The relationship, the stability, the opportunity. Your brain starts quietly calculating the loss before you've even fully received the thing. And for some people, particularly people who have experienced loss, abandonment, or disappointment at a formative level, that calculation comes back with a number that feels unbearable. The anticipated pain of losing something good is so significant that the brain makes a decision that sounds insane from the outside, but makes complete sense from the inside. It decides that it would rather control the ending than be surprised by it. So it starts engineering the loss, not consciously, not deliberately, but through a series of behaviors that create the distance, the conflict, the collapse before something external can do it instead. Because a loss you caused feels survivable, a loss that arrives without warning, that you didn't see coming, that you had no hand in creating. That kind of loss has destroyed people before, and some part of your brain remembers that. The second reason goes into something psychologists call the window of tolerance. Every person has a range of emotional experience they've learned to exist within comfortably. Not happily necessarily, but familiarly. If your early life contained a significant amount of instability, conflict, unpredictability, or emotional intensity, then that became your baseline. Your nervous system calibrated itself to that level of intensity. It learned that's what normal feels like. And when life gets genuinely calm and good, your body doesn't experience that as relief. It experiences it as wrongness. The quiet feels unfamiliar. The stability feels suspicious. The happiness feels like a setup. Because your nervous system is pattern matching against the only template it was given, and the template says this level of peace doesn't last. So it starts doing what it knows. It starts recreating the familiar chaos. Not because you want chaos, but because your nervous system finds the familiar more tolerable than the unknown, even when the familiar is painful and the unknown is good. This is one of the most painful ironies in human psychology. The people who most deserve peace are often the ones whose nervous systems are least equipped to stay in it. The third reason is something that almost no one talks about, and it lives in the relationship between goodness and identity. If your self-image was built during years of struggle, if the story you've been telling about yourself centers on surviving, on pushing through, on being someone who deals with hard things, then happiness creates an identity crisis. Because who are you when things are good? If the core narrative of your life is I am someone who endures, then a period of genuine ease doesn't feel like a reward. It feels like a threat to the only self you know how to be. So you find ways to bring the struggle back, not because you love suffering, but because suffering is where your identity lives. And the self, even a painful self, will fight to survive. The fourth reason is the one that tends to land the hardest. Some people destroy good things because deep down they don't believe they deserve them. Not in a way they would ever say out loud. Not in a way they would even consciously acknowledge if you asked. But underneath the surface, beneath the wanting and the hoping and the reaching, there's a quiet verdict that was handed down a long time ago. That verdict says people like you don't get to keep things like this. That the good thing is a mistake, a temporary misalignment in the order of things, and eventually reality will correct it. So you correct it first. You find the flaw. You create the problem. You build the exit before the exit is built for you. because some part of you is trying to confirm what it already believes, and the mind is extraordinarily skilled at finding evidence for its existing conclusions. This is the part that requires real honesty to look at, because the question isn't whether you want good things. The question is whether you believe, somewhere underneath all the wanting, that you're actually allowed to have them. And if the answer to that question was shaped by someone else's behavior toward you a long time ago, by neglect, by criticism, by being let down repeatedly by the people who are supposed to show you your own worth, then the work isn't to try harder to keep good things. The work is to find and update the verdict. Because the verdict was never true. It was just delivered convincingly by people who didn't know what they were doing to you. Here's what all of this means. If you recognize yourself in any of this, you are not broken. You are not self-destructive in some fundamental, unfixable way. You are a person whose brain developed a very sophisticated system for surviving loss and disappointment, and that system is now running in a life that doesn't require it anymore. The problem isn't your behavior. The problem is that your brain is still solving for a version of your life that no longer exists. And the most important thing you can do is stop long enough to notice it happening, because you cannot interrupt a pattern you haven't yet learned to see. So ask yourself this. The last time something good started slipping away in your life, did it leave on its own, or did some part of you help it go?